I just added the login function to the login page, and now we're going to working on the register page, which will need a register function to allow us to adding a new user into the array, right? So let's go to the app.js. We'll start from here again. All right, so we're gonna rewrite this register part into the format like we did for the login. Right, we're gonna do it for the same thing. So we're gonna do a route exact pass equal to slash register pass in the register. Right, so when the pass equals register, we're gonna show the register component. And we will need the passing the what? Password? Right, let me think what we need here. So the register, every time we will do, so logically every time when we go to register we need to do two things. So we're gonna allow you to enter something here, enter the username, enter the password, and then when I click the register button, we are going to run a function to check if this username already taken by someone else. If that's taken, we're gonna allow the user. This username is taken. Please try something else, right? And if that's not taken, we are going to add this new user into the users array we created here, right? Into this array, adding one more item inside this array, and then we navigate the user to his profile with this new user. All right. So let's see how we're gonna do it. So we first need to check if the user is already logged in. If not, adding a new user into it. Let's directly jump to the register function first. Jump to the register.js first. And again, let's create a state for each input. We're gonna state for the username, for the password, and the verify password. Well, one for each. So we're gonna import use state here, and then create those variables. First one, constant username equals to the and set username, right? Set username set username from use state empty string, and same thing for the password, set password, and for the verify password, I'm going to call it password 2 and set password 2. Right, 3 variables. And now I can bind this one by one to the input. For the username, it has a value equals to this username, right? And unchange equals to a function takes the e and set username is the target value, is the target value, yeah. Right, same thing for the password. We need any value which equals to the password, and on change e do a set password e the target the value. Right, and the next one is a verify password. So it's going to be value equals to password2, and on change equals to e set password2 e the target the value. Right, target the value. So we have the password1, password2, and the username variable set up. So it should still action as normal. You can just enter things. Right. So that works. Right. Now we are going to create a function. When I click on the register function button, it's going to call that function. Right, I'm going to call a function here called register. Say function. I'm going to create a constant register and equal to a function, and do something here. All right, so this time using the arrow function. So basically the same thing. All right. So when the form is on submit, we want to call this register function. Right, when the form is on submit, we call the register function. And when I click on the register button, instead of link to another page, I want to submit the form. So I'm going to change that to a button, and then get rid of the to attribute here. When I click on this button, we're going to submit the form. And the form is going to call this register button. Right, so now when I click it, it's going to submit the form, which is going to refresh the page by default. And we need to prevent it from default, so I'm going to put E here, and E dot prevent default. So it won't refresh the page anymore. Alright, click on it, nothing going to happen. And I can tell it what I want to do here. Alright, so few things we need to do here. First thing is check if passwords are matched. Right, we'll have a password and the verified password. When you make sure the two passwords they enter are matched, otherwise, like, what if they make mistakes here, right? So if the password not equals to the password2 they enter, we're gonna alert user, like, you can put anything here. The passwords you entered don't match. Please try it again. Or we can say the password and the verified password are not matched. Please try it again. And just put some alert here. Tell the user what entered is not working. So just enter return to stop the function. All right. So now, if I try to register a new account, I say username is msymbol, password I put 123, and the verified password I put 1234. I click register. It can alert me. The passwords you entered doesn't match. Please try it again. And if I fix the issue, it won't say anything. 1233, 1233. Yeah, it won't say anything. It's gonna say it just allows me to go through that check. Right, so now let's go to the next one. Check if, actually we can just call check if username is taken. Check if username is taken. To check the username is taken, we need to check if we already have a same username inside the array. So we will need to using the app.js to pass in the user's array into the register.js. Alright, so let's go back to app.js and pass in the user's array to the register.js file, the component. Right, pass in the users from app.js to the register so I can check it here. Right, so I'm going to need the props here. I'm going to check if we have it. So again, we'll have a for loop for each user of user props the users. It should be let the user of for off loop, right? So if we found the user, that means the username is taken, right? So if the username is equals to the username I type, user type, then that means we found the user. Right? The username is taken. So alert, username is taken. Please try another one. And return to stop it. All right. And now I can try to enter in a username. Let's say I put Alice here, and the password I just put 123 123. When I click register, it's gonna tell me username is taken. Please try another one, because we already have an Alice there, so it won't allow me to using Alice again. Right, Alice is taken. But if I change to Alice 1, it will pass the check. Check if username is taken. You need to put props inside here. In the when you want to accept some props from your parent, from the app.js, you need to put the props as an input. All right. Now we checked the password is matched. The username is not taken. So now we can allow users to register. Right. So we're gonna add new user into users array, and then navigate user into his profile. I do two things. And the new user into users array, we will need to call a function inside app.js, because the original users array is inside app.js here. So we're going to call a function inside here. For example, I'm going to call a function called props. Actually, let's create a new user first. Let's create a new user. So we're going to create a new user, then adding a new user into the app.js. So to construct a new user, right, we can say construct new user. Construct new user is equal to an object. It has its own ID, and it has its username, which is the username I typed. It has its own password. It's a password I gave, and it has first name, has last name, and email. Right, those are the things we have for each user, right? It has ID, username, password, first name, last name, and email, right? Those are the properties a user should have. And the ID we need to randomly give a different ID, right? The ID has to be unique, so we need to randomly give a different ID. And inside here, we can introduce a library, which can generate unique numbers for us. It's called the UUID. That is the library's name. It's called the UUID. Right? It's a library to just create random IDs. Right? Create random IDs. Right, so let's install it. So I'm going to open a new terminal. Do a npm install. You can just put I here. It's shortcut for install. npm I UUID, which you're going to install the UUID inside your project. Right, once we install it, we can using their documentation to talk about to say how we can use it. Let's see. Yeah. So UUID in React. So it's many. Yeah, okay, import UUID from UUID. It's easy to use. There's many helper documents you can find online to teach you how to use it. Okay, so the installation is also finished. Let's try it out here. All right, let's go back to let's close this extra terminal we just opened. All right, so I installed the UUID. I can import it. All right, to make sure the installation is finished, you can always check in the package.json. In the dependencies here, it's going to mention all the libraries you installed. So we have React, React DOM. Those are two things coming together with React. And this React script is also, the three things are coming from React. Once you install React, it's going to install the three things. And the React Router DOM is the one we use to changing between the components. And UUID is the new library we just installed. All right, so let's import UUID from the UUID library. And the way it works is like, for example, I can console.log UUID.version4. I think that's going to generate a new ID for us. I think it's version 4 with a parentheses. Let me try it out. So if I go here, see, there's a new ID, some random numbers that generate for us. That is a thing we're going to give. Every time it's going to generate a random ID. We're going to give that to each user we create. So the ID here, we're going to say this one is equal to UUID with version 4. Let's create a random ID for this user. And you can console log it out, checking what does it create. New user. Right. So let's try it out. So if I create a new user, ID username is msymbol, password is 123, verify password is 123, register. The console log out a new user created. I said new user has an ID, which is some random number, has a username, has a password, and the empty first name, empty email, and empty last name. Right, this is new user created. We're going to add this new user into our users array in app.js. Right. So to add it, well, since the array is inside app.js, so we're gonna call a function inside app.js to add it. So we're gonna go props the add user, the function name called add user, and add this new user into it. Right, of course, this new add user function doesn't exist. We're gonna go ahead to create it. Create this add user function inside app.js. Let's go to the app.js. I'm going to create this function, right? Now I'm going to constant add user is equal to function takes a user and do the following stuff. All right, so we're gonna inside function is set users. Remember, set users is the function used to update the current users array, right? We're gonna say the set users sets the users into the becomes the old users into array, become array with the old users and also the new user at the end. Right, so if we just say the users, that just means the equivalent to the old one, and if I put a common user, just adding the new one at the end. Right, it's using a split operator to push the item at the end. It's much easier than just using the users.push blah blah blah. You can just do that. Right, so we'll create this function and some comments and a new user into users array. All right, and also to use this function inside the register component, we need to pass in this function into the register. So I'm going to say add user equal to add user. Pass in this function into the register component. All right, so I give you 1 minute to take a look on that. Right, so that is the add user function, and this one actually will work. It will add the user into the user array. Right, so after we add the user into the users array, and the one last thing we do is navigate the user into this new his new profile. All right, into his new profile. So then I'm gonna again import the use history from React Rotterdam, so we can navigate to another page. And also let's do a constant history equal to the use history. Right, then we use this history to push. So here we say history.push. Push him to the new profile. So it's going to be backticks slash user slash and with a variable the new user dot underscore ID. It's push it to this new profile page. All right, so let's try it out. All right, so go to well. For history, it's the same process. Use history import and create a variable called history, which is using the use history function we imported. It's the exact same thing we did in login. Right, so every time when you're trying to navigate from one page to another page using JavaScript, you will need to using this use history. Alright, so let's try it out. So if I try to register a new user, msymbol, his password is 123, verify password is 123, and click on register. It's navigating me to /user/ some kind of ID as a new user's ID and to his profile page. Right, it's actually worked. So that's all you need to do for the register page. Right, checking the username is not taken. If I now create another msymbol, I don't think it's going to allow me to do it because the msymbol is existing right now. As I said, the username is taken because I just created one, and but I can log in with that. So msymbol 123 log in. That will allow me to log in. That's a new user we just created. Right. So, but be careful. Is like do not refresh a page, because we do not have a server. Everything is stored temporarily. If you refresh a page, all the change you made will be gone. But if you refresh a page, I cannot log in with msymbol anymore. It will not work anymore because I refresh my page. I reloaded my page. So because we don't have a server yet, so all the data we added, it's just going to be temporarily stored there. Once you close your browser or you refresh a page, it's just going to be gone. Right, so that's all expected. That's nothing wrong. We're gonna later we will add, after we're adding the backend, adding the server, it's going to be solved. Right, so it's okay. It's just so when you refresh page, the data is gone. Right. Pushing to the history, just the history, the push, and /user. I'm sorry. Yeah, this is a path for the profile. /user / the UID, and the UID in this case is the new user's ID. All right, so let's finish the last part, which is a profile page. That profile page. So the first thing I need to worry about is like when I come to the profile page, I want to see my current username, current email, and the current first name, last name here. Right, so right now I'm in the user 123, which is the profile of Alice. It should display me the Alice profile here. Right, so that's the first thing we're gonna do. So let's go to the app.js. Right, again, we're gonna rewrite this one with this new syntax because we need to pass in some variables into it. So it's gonna be route, change the component equal to profile to become the inside profile, right, like that. Now I can pass in some variables into it. And then what we need is actually, again, the user's array inside it. All right? Still the user's array inside it. And we can go to the profile now, profile.js page. So in this one, we will have 4 variables binding with each input. Username, set username, email, set email, first name, set first name, and last name, set last name. Right, 4 pairs of variables set into each input. So again, let's import the use state. You see, we're going to repeat a similar process again. Right, so for each input, we always want to create username variable and set username variable to the set state, use state, not use state, use state. Start with empty. Right, same thing for times. Password, first name, and last name. And it's going to be set username, set password, set first name, and set last name. All right, 4 times.
That was email.
Oh yeah, one missing the email. Oh, actually, we don't need the password. We're gonna need the email because we're not gonna display his password here. It's not secure. All right, so I'm gonna just set email and no password. So username, email, first name, and last name. Right, so now let's bind them together. It's the same process. So for each input, we're gonna have value equal to username and onChange equals to e and set username is the targeted value. Did I give some type of set? Sorry, username. Here we go. And do the same thing for the email. value equal to email, and the onChange is equal to set email target value. And copy that. Do the same thing for the first name and last name. First name, set first name, and the last name, set last name. Right. And it will connect the variables and the input. All right. For variables are ready, and we will need to display the information inside here. Right, when I come to this page, I'll display some information inside here. So let me see. That means when the page is loaded, I want to take some effect to change the value of username, change the value of email, change the value of first name, change the value of last name. So we will need to import the use effect. That is, when something is happened, you want to run a function. When the page is loaded, I want to run some function. I'm using use effect. All right. So it's going to be use effect. Take two things. Takes a function and takes a when it's going to happen. Right. So when the page is loaded, so we're going to put the empty array here. That means when the page is loading, we are going to run this function. And the function, what the function does is just going to initialize the information we have for the username, password, and those things, right? We're going to run this function when the page is loaded. And what function is going to do is, firstly, we need to grab the user ID from this URL path at the top here. We need to grab that. And using that to finding the corresponding user information we want to display. So again, to get it, we need to put a props here, right? Input props. Right, so what I'll do here, if we console.log props.match, that is also a predefined props, it's gonna gives us undefined. What? Let me see. Props.match gives me an undefined. Do I need to import something? Let me see. Maybe use params. I'm just guessing. Let's just search it in the React Router library. Use params. I think maybe this is what I'm looking for. Name looks like it. Let me see. Use props. Okay. Let me try it out. So if I import use props, use the params, right? Params means parameters. I think this gives me the parameters from the URL path at top. So I'm going to do a constant. Params is equal to use params. Let's try it out. And then we console log out this params and see what we have here. Console log out all the params. and I'm getting a UID 123. Here we go. That's a UID 123 we want. We need a 123 to find it. Right. So now we know the UID is 123. I can check in if there is any user with ID 123 inside our array. So we're gonna do a for loop for each the user of the props the user's array, right? User array from app.js. On check if the user the underscore ID is equals to the params the UID. If we found that ID, okay, this is the user we're looking for. So we can set username equals to the user.username. Set email equals to user.email. Set first name equals to user.first name. And set last name equal to user.last name. Right, so now when I refresh the page, it's gonna run that function looking for the Alice and it shows Alice information inside here. So I have the username equal to Alice, email alice@gmail.com, first name Alice, last name Wonder. Right, so all from that user's array. Sure. And also, once we found it, we want to return to break it. I don't need to keep running to all the users. So once we found it, just stop it.
So we never have to use the break.
Break just breaks the loop. Return stops the whole function.
Gotcha.
And this give me a warning, says React hook use effect has a missing dependencies, params the UID. That's because like it's because it thinks this function is also highly depends on the user's ID. When the ID changes, it asks me, do you want to also rerun this function? Okay, sure. When the ID changes, I want to use rerun this function, so I'm going to put the params the UID as dependencies, and also the props the user. When these two things change, I also want to rerun this function, so I can put these two things as the dependencies. It won't change anything, it's still going to work. It's without the warning. So it still works. Huh? Params is here, use params. That's also a function coming from React Rotterdam. All it does is going to provide all our placeholder inside the all the parameters from this URL. And inside, in this case, we only have one parameter, which is UID, and we can grab the params UID from it. So whenever you want to grab something from the grab some parameters from the URL path, you're going to using the params the UID, or params or something, param UID, param WID, params the widget ID. But you're gonna need this function from the React Rotterdam. You're gonna see we're gonna use this many times. When we go to the website, when we go to the page edit, we're always gonna using this to grab the the parameters. Mm-hmm. No, it doesn't matter. You can call it anything.
But the set parameters are.
You can give any name here, any name here, anything. And then when you call it, you're just gonna call the name. Instead of, for example, I don't want to call it a set username. I want to call it m symbol. And then when you use it, you're gonna call m symbol. Right, it also works, but I don't think m symbol is a good name because it doesn't make sense by itself. So the username makes more sense because I know that's definitely a function to reset the username. So that's why I'm giving this name.
Why do we give arrays in the user effect function?
Okay, so if you Google the use state, this is actually a syntax React is using to create it. You see that? This is declaring a new state variable, and which we will call count. And this is a variable's name. And the second parameter, this is optional. If you do not have it, it also works. We'll create a variable called username. But you cannot change this state anymore. This variable cannot be changed. It's a constant. If you want to make any change to it, you can pass in another item inside this array, which is going to be the second item called set username, and used to update the content of the first variable. Right. So the difference between the regular component and the state component is only one stuff. So let me give you an example here. Let me see. I'm going to put this one on the right and put the code on the left. And let me just comment this thing out for a second. Just give you an example here. So I'm going to go to local 300. All right. So if I put a div says 1, 2, 3 here, it's going to show the 1, 2, 3 here, right? And if I create a constant my num equal to 1, 2, 3, and it displays my num here. Displays my num here, and it displays 1, 2, 3. All right, and if I actually have a button right after this div, after this my num, it says this button. What this button does, it's gonna when I click it, it changes my num plus plus, adding 1 to my num. Right, this button says increase. Increase. Alright, so when I click the button, it's adding up the number. Oh, it's constant. I'm going to make it let. Let num equal my num equal to 1, 2, 3. I click increase, it's going to increase the number. But let's say okay, when I click a number, this here, this my num is actually changing. When I click once, it can become 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 5. Okay, it starts with 1. Alright, start with 1. When I click it once, this becomes 2, becomes 3, becomes 4, becomes 5. But you can see the page, the item inside the page is actually not changing, right? Because the React will not keep an eye on this object. It won't watch your variable changing. It doesn't really care about it changing. But if I rewrite this one as a state, for example, I'm going to say instead of saying my num equal to 1, I'm going to say constant my num equals to use state 1. It still works the same way. And when I want to change the value, I'm going to using the function set my num. Set my num. Right. I'm going to say that my num is equal to set my num equals to the old number of my number plus plus. By doing that, when I click increase, I'm giving you an error. What? Oh, my num is, I can just say my num plus 1. I think I can do that. Here we go. See that? So the difference here is just as you see, if you create a variable as a state, the React is going to watch on it. If the state change, I'm going to change the same thing in the page. So if you're using that variable, so it's going to check on, okay, the my num value is changed, and I see you are using this main value in this place. Let me re-render this part for you, because the number changes. I want your page to change as well. Right? So if you create a variable as a state, it will take a look. Always keep watching on this variable. When this variable change, okay, you are using my num inside your page here. Let me re-render this part for you. Let me recreate this part for you. It shouldn't be 12 anymore when you click it. Okay, the value now behind the screen, that number is changed to 13. Let me re-render the page for you. Number changes to 14. Okay, let me re-render the page for you. So it's gonna keep watching on this part. See, okay, this is the state. I'm gonna watch it. If I have two, and if let me go back to the original code we have here, router. So let me go back. I'm getting error. What? Did I break anything? Oh, I did a return. Come back. Where's my return? I need a return. Do that. Do that. Bring this thing back. Right. So let me go to the Alice account. So login as Alice. Right. So now take a look. So because these 4 items are state. So when in some cases when the variable itself changes, it will also change the item writing inside here. Right, you can take a look, keep an eye on those these variables. Variables change, and it will randomly, or not randomly, it's suddenly going to change also how it displayed in the screen. Right, so this is why it's in the profile. They start from empty. Right, they're all empty at start. But when the page loads, we have set username, set email, set first name, set last name. They can change the value of these 4 variables. And when these 4 variables changes, it's going to also change what displayed on the screen here. Right, this is what state does. State is just going to be something React watching on. It's going to keep watching on that things. Right, when the state change, let me refresh the page for you. That's it. Right, that's it. Okay, we just explained about the state, and now it does initialize the information I have here. Right, that's the first thing we need to do. And in the profile, there's another thing we need to do is we need to allow the user to update their profile. When they change their username, change their email, they click on this check button. I want them to be able to update his profile into a new username, a new email, a new first name, new last name. I click on this check button. All right, so let's do that. Where is my check button? Is right here as icon. As icon FAS, FA check. Right, this is right here. And we're going to do a few things here. Firstly, we are going to, I'm going to put it into a span, I think. It's better format. Put this icon inside a span. Oops, what I'm doing. Put that into a span. I put a span. All right. The icon inside the span. And won't change anything. I just want to add in some class to it. Class name. I'm going to call it clickable. Just call it click. I call it custom click. That means this thing can be clicked. Why am I doing that? Because I want any some style. When I hover over it, I want to change my mouse into a something like this, a finger. Means I can click it. Right. So I'm gonna go to my CSS after CSS. So for the class, click, and it's gonna be point. What is that? Mouse over it. How do I change it? Cursor, right? Cursor pointer. Yeah, I just. So when I mouse over it right now, it's gonna show my cursor as a pointer. Right, I know this is something clickable. I can click it. Right. Just for some style, right? Just for some style stuff. And I can, you know what? I can also change the color when I mouse over it. Let me also do that. Just make it cool. So for a click, when I hover it, I want to change the color of it into, I don't know, black. No, not black. And just use some gray color like a CCC. I think that's a gray color. It's too light. Let's see. We change it. Should give me some hint for the color. Okay, yeah. So let's just choosing a color somehow here. This one. No, it's using it. Still too light. Does it actually work? No, it's not actually work. Because I think that's because of that's an icon color. Never mind. So it's gonna be. We're gonna change when I for the click class, the icon inside it. When I hover it, I should change the color of that. I think that's gonna work. Let me see. Red. Still not work. Oh, maybe. Oh, I see. Maybe that's because I'm using the text line here. So let's break it. Let me see how I change it. Click hover it, and if I say this is important, it's gonna break it. No. For the icon inside it. Here we go. Right. For the icon hover inside it, when I put the important here, because it's if I think the Bootstrap is using important, so I need to override it. I need to also put the important here. So I'm gonna using the color, some gray color here, not too dark, not too light. Let's see, I'm gonna using the something like this, 777. Right. So when I hover it, it's just gonna change the color. So I know this something can be clickable. Right. So you can it's just something. Feel free to do it or not. It's optional. Right. It's optional. Right. So let's go back to our topic to make it actually do something here. So we want to update our user profile, update the user data. So, right, so let's create the function. We're going to create a function in right after here. I just put it before return. It's called a update. I'm going to call it update. Right, update. I'm going to say constant update. Is a function takes nothing and do something here. Right, update. And this is also for the on click. When I click it, we're gonna call the function update. Right, click on this band, call the function update. And to make sure that works, I can console log something. Console log 1, 2, 3. So when I click it, it's going to console log 1, 2, 3 for me. So click it, I say 1, 2, 3 here. Right, that works. That works. Actually, the best idea here is not using onClick. The better idea is using onSubmit. Actually, not on here. OnSubmit should be on the form. When you submit the form, you want to call update. And but if you click, actually, let's just do the onClick here. Yeah, onClick here. If you do onSubmit, it's gonna be too much work to do. I have to change many things. Just onClick is gonna be good enough. Just onClick. Right, onClick allows you to change it. Right, so let's do something in this update. So first thing I want to do is we will basically create a new user with a new email, new first name, new last name, and new username, first name, email, and last name. So we'll create a new user and send this user to the app.js, and app.js will update the corresponding data inside the array. So update. So we're going to create a new, we'll call it new user. This user will have the same ID, but with different information. So its ID going to be still the params, the UID. We don't change it. And its username is going to be the username we entered. And the password, password is going to be the same password. We didn't enter any password. How do I get the password then? Yeah, we'll need another variable to store the user's password. So even we didn't save it there, we still need it because we need to use it there. So password. We don't need to set password because we won't allow you to change password here. Use state. Right, just a password. And once we set found the user, we also need to set password, which is equal to user.password. Right, so but actually, yeah, we need to set the password then. We set the password here, so yeah, we do need it. Set the password. Yeah, we do need to change it. It's when the page is loading, we change it. And inside here, the password equal to the password, the old password there. And same thing for the email. It's equal to the email. And the first name equals to the first name. And last name equal to the last name. Right? Let's update the user. And now we need to send it to the user's array to update it. So we're gonna say call function called props the update user and pass in this new user into it. Again, this update user will be a function in the app.js. We're going to go create this function inside there. All right, so comments, update user in users array. Right, some comments. And let's go ahead and create this update user function in the app.js. All right, I'm going to go over there to create this function. All right, so we'll have add new user into array. We'll have update user by ID. So I have a constant update user. It takes a new user and do a function here, update it. Right, two ways to do this function. The first one, you can using the for loop to looking for the user with the same ID and update it. Another way is using the map. So we can using the map to update it. So we're going to do for the users, the map. For each user inside this array, we want to check if user.id, the underscore ID, is equals to this new user dot ID, then we'll return this new user. Otherwise, we don't change it, just using the old ID, user's ID. And this function going to give us the updated users array. So we're going to call set users on this whole thing. All right, this is going to give us the new array. We're going to set the users based on this one. So if we found the ID, we're going to using the new user's ID to replace the old one. Actually, does it actually work? I think it works. Let me try it out. Right? Let me try it out. Make sure that works. So, this one. Hold on. Yeah, I also need to pass in this function into the profile. So we're going to say updated user equal to updated user. We're going to pass it in. And I'm getting some errors. Says 66 expect a return of value at the end of arrow function. Oh, I need a return here. No, that's not what it means. Maybe I need a return here, I guess. No. I'm just gonna go ahead. Let me go ahead and try it. See how does it work. Let's see if that works. So let's try it out. So if I update Alice to Alice 1, click on check. Does it update? I'm not sure. Let's try to log in. Alice 1, Alice. Okay, it works. Logs in with a new username. And if I cannot log in with old Alice anymore, I guess. Yeah, the Alice is not working anymore. It's not going to be, oops, username of undefined. What? Give me an error. Why I'm getting errors? Does that make sense? Let me see. Right, so let's go back to the login page. Put Alice. It works. If I put something random, it should give me an arrow. It should give me an alert. Yeah. And if I log in as Alice 1, give me an arrow. Yes. If I log in as Alice, change its username. Go back. Alice, and let's just get something random. It gives me errors. So something is wrong. Something is wrong. Let me see. So once I update it, and I want to know what is my current user array becomes. So let me see. Alice. No, refresh page. All right. So let me check my current components. So give me 1 second, checking something. Yeah, so I have an array of 4 items. Once I change it, all the 3 becomes undefined. Okay, I see. Okay, it should be else return user. So if the user ID equals new user ID, or returns a new user. Otherwise, just returns the original user. That makes sense. Let's try it again. So let's have Alice here. Right, have Alice here. Array of 4 items. If I change to Alice 1, click OK. Okay, let's change to Alice 1. Others are still stay the same. Okay, so this is the correct answer for that. Right, so Right, this is a shorter wording with a map. So the users, user, the map, user. If user ID equal to user ID, then we'll return new user, else return user. Right, this is a shorter version, and longer version is going to be using for loop to looking for it by yourself. Similar, it's going to be for let I equals to 0. We can use it for off loop. Let the user of users, and basically just do the same thing. Similar thing like this. If user ID equal to the user ID, and instead of return, we're gonna create a new array to replace it. This is a shorter version. It's a map. If you're not familiar with map, you can Google JavaScript map. It's a function loops each user inside user array and returns a new array. All right. And the profile here, once we update the user in users, we want to give user alert. All right, so do alert here, alert. User info is updated. That's it. All right, so once I update it, click OK. Since user info is updated. Okay, that's updated. I will be able to log in with the new information I just created. See that? So I can log in with Alice1, and if I change username, I change first name, change last name, and when I log in back in, I will see my new information there. Right, so the new information here. Right, so the update is also work. Right, so I will upload the video to the YouTube, and you can